In this video I'm gonna teach you how to make this random number generator inside Blender with geometry nodes. It's very simple, it's just a few nodes. It took me like 5 minutes to make it, so even if you haven't tried geometry nodes before, don't worry, I'm gonna make things simple. And trust me, if you follow what I do, you can make it as well. I don't care what Blender version are you using, however I recommend you to use the same version as I do, which is the Blender 4.3.2. So let's go right into it. So let's open a new scene. And let's go straight to the geometry nodes. Then select the cube and let's create a new geometry node group. Now, since we want to make a random number generator, the first thing that we need is to have some source of randomness. And the best source of randomness in Blender are textures. So what we can do is that we can delete the group input and we can add a texture. You can use whatever texture you want, but I'm gonna use a white noise. Now let's change the dimension to 4D, because we will use this W slider to actually make the different variations of the random number. Now if I would like to preview the value, you can see that there is basically nothing to preview because we have no geometry to actually preview the number on. So what we need to do is that we need to convert the value into the string, and then we need to convert the string into curve to actually show the number in the viewport. So let's take this value and let's connect it to the value to string. So now we are converting the value into the string, but you can see that there is a problem with the connection, where the diamond socket is basically not compatible with this round socket. And even though both these sockets are floats, which means they are the same data types, they have different properties that they are carrying. I'm not gonna go into much details about this, but the easiest way I found to fix this is to actually add value node into this vector input. So let's add a value. And you can see that the value has this round socket, and if we connect this value into the vector, this will basically change the property of the value output. Next, let's take the string and let's convert it into the curve. So let's add string to curve. And if I connect the curve instances into the geometry, you can see that now we can actually see the number in the viewport. Now if I change this W input, you can see that the number won't go above 1, because the range of this value output right here is from 0 to 1, which means that if you want to get bigger numbers, we need to expand the range. And to do this, we can plug a map range node between the white noise and the value to string node. Now these two numbers are basically representing the default range from 0 to 1. And these two numbers are basically the range that we are expanding to. So if you want to, for example, generate a random value between 0 and 100,000, you can just change the max to the 100,000. And as you can see, we have a number between 0 and 100,000. And if I would like to change the number, I can just play with this W slider, which will randomize the number between 0 and 100,000. I also forget to tell you this, but if you want to also add decimals, you can add them with this slider. Now, since we are converting strings to the curves, we can also change different other aspects. We can change a lot of other things, including the font. So if you want to change the font, you can just go to this folder icon and you can change any font you want. Now, as you can see, we have only the outline of the numbers, so it would be great to actually fill them with geometry. And to do this, we can add a fill curve and plug it after the last node. So by far, this is how the node group looks like. We can change the value variation, we can control the minimum and the maximum number, we can change the decimals, we can change the font, and we can also change the alignment. Now this is basically all. I mean, we have the random number generator right here, but we can add one more cool feature into this system. You see, if you would like to use this random number generator on different objects, the number will be basically the same, because we are using the same node group just for different objects. It doesn't matter how many objects I have, the number will still be the same. So how can we make each number different? Let me show you. So what we want to do is to actually use the location of the object to randomize the number. And it's very simple to do this in the geometry nodes. And the easiest way to do this is by adding object info node, then selecting this object as a target, and then combine this location with the value node right here. So let's add the math node, and let's add the value with the location together, and plug it to the vector of the white noise texture. Also, don't forget to switch from the original to the relative, otherwise this won't work. And now if I duplicate and move the number, you can see that the number will be randomized, which means that you can animate the numbers just by moving them around. And because we are using the same geometry node group on all these objects, we can control them all together by adjusting the properties inside the geometry node group. You can play with the character spacing, you can add decimals, you can play with the maximum and the minimum value, and of course you can make infinite number of variations. And one last thing I'm gonna show you is that when you add a switch node, you change the property to float, You connect the value and the mask node together, and then you connect the switch output to the vector. You can now use this switch to enable and disable the randomization by the object location. Right now it's not working because I basically turned it off, but now when I enable the switch, you can see that the number is changing whenever I move it. And that's all for this video. If you took some value from this video, make sure to subscribe. Also check out my Shade Guard library, which is a collection of materials for Blender that are fully procedural. 87 materials, no unwrapping, infinite amount of variations, and unlimited control. You can find them by clicking on the first link in the description. If you have some tutorial request, you can write it in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. See ya!